Good morning. I'm at the Three Rivers Trail on the west side of the range of Sierra Blanca, and I'm getting ready to hike a point called White Horse Hill today. It's over 10,000 feet. Starting elevation here is 6,400 approximately, so it's going to be a climb of about 3,700 feet and about a 13-mile round trip. I'm at a little clearing here, which is used for camping. I'm hoping I'm about halfway up the trail now. It's forested for the most part. It's clearer in some areas. I will be heading up in this general direction here, but the trail is very easy to follow. Last time I was here, the National Forest crew was out clearing up all the fallen trees. I had a lot harder of a time on the way up because of all of them, and on the way back they were clearing out a few more, and it looks like they've worked their way up pretty far, if not the whole way. So that's good. It's making progress a lot easier. I'm gonna get going again and just push it to the summit as fast as I can. Okay, I'm done following the creek. I've reached this meadow area now, and then it's a bunch of switchbacks up through here and then up to that hillside, and then the trail crest is up there, and then I'll just have a short but steep walk up to the summit, which is up there. Okay, I've reached the Crest Trail, and I came from this direction, and then I have to go up here. There's a little hill right here. I'm gonna go off to the side around this, and then the main peak is behind that. I could have actually tried to just cut up the hillside over there, but I figured I'd come up to here, see what my time was, and then go from here. Okay, I made it up to the top of White Horse Hill. I think this elevation is around 10,140, if I remember correctly. It's definitely over 10,000. It only took me 12 minutes, not a half an hour from the Crest Trail, so that was good. I'm not gonna hang out too long. I'm gonna just get some footage and pictures and then start back down. I think it was, here, about 2 hours and 17 minutes up to here, and 6.25 to 6.5 miles total. You can just see the top of Sierra Blanca Peak right there. So I climbed that Memorial Day weekend. It was a Saturday. Basically, from the trail crest down there, it's called the Crest Trail. You hike up along here through the forest, close to that high point right there. You're on the other side of the hill with the trees, and then you're on the west side of the ridge for a while. I think you're west of that high point there, and then you get to Lookout Mountain. I don't think that's Lookout Mountain. I think it's behind there. Then you make a maybe 300-foot drop, and then climb about 800 or 900 feet up to the summit of Sierra Blanca. That was a really fun hike. That was a tough hike though, really hard. And I did struggle with the elevation. That was the highest I'd ever been. So down there is where I came from. I think that's that meadow. Anyway, this is another side summit. I probably wouldn't have had the energy to do this on the Sierra Blanca hike. I probably could have pushed it and made it, but it was better that I skipped it. Anyway, this is it from the summit of White Horse Hill. Now my next task is to get back as fast as possible and then head to the Guadalupe Mountains. I'm going to try to do one peak tonight on the north end of the park, and then hopefully 2 tomorrow, at least 1, and then head back home. I'll film a little bit more on the way down. I'll put the camera away for now though, and just make it back down to the trail crest as fast as possible, and then start heading back. Okay, I just made it down from the summit of White Horse Hill, and I'm going to be taking the Three Rivers Trail back to the Three Rivers campground. Okay, already a good 300 or 400 feet lower. It's a fun little summit. Heading back into a little grove of aspens here. It's neat how the mountain here, this range really is a mix of fields, which do get pretty far down, and then the trees, rocks, and just the overall real Real neat area. Alright, there's probably the last look at the summit there. That little tree up there is basically at the summit. It is just right up after that, and it's a pretty defined ridge. You go right back down right on the other side of there. Okay, I'm back to the forest. Just want to point out the clouds forming already. And this cloud wasn't even here when I was just up on the summit, and I mean, it's been within half an hour at the most. So it tells you about the thunderstorm threat. I may even see some later on when I'm back down forming up here. But anyway, I'm back in the woods, which is great. Now it's time to follow the creek all the way back to the campground. Here's a little creek crossing right here. Most of them are like this, just piles of rocks. Some you're actually just stepping over rocks that are in the water, but especially up this high, the creek is flowing under the rocks most of the time. Trail crosses the creek quite a few times. I'd say probably 15 at least. See, and then yeah, usually a little uphill section following the cross, and then you're back downhill again. Okay, I'm back at the campsite. So this should be the halfway point. I think I'm making pretty good time. The canyon opens up a little bit here now. Some nice views of the cliffs and the mountains and the stream as well. Nice section up there, mountain behind it. Some pretty steep cliffs, very steep cliffs. Getting lower, the southern facing slopes of the mountains are looking a lot more desert-like. Still in the pine trees down here. This giant rock here is about 2 miles into the hike, I think, at least I hope. Getting closer to the start of the canyon now. I still have a ways to go. I had passed that big rock just maybe 2/10 of a mile at most. Things are opening up here a bit more, getting lower. Vegetation, especially on the south facing slope, is way more deserty, not all desert-like. And it should be back in 25 to 30 minutes, if not less. Okay, I'm almost back at the trailhead now. I saw 3 people coming up about half a mile or 3/4 of a mile back. Saw one lady in the morning. She was coming down about a mile or a mile and a half in. Other than that, nobody here. Pretty much alone for the entire hike. I'm gonna check my time as soon as I get right back to the car. If I have a little bit of extra time, I'll film a little bit more from further away, zoom in on the peak I did. If not, that was a good hike. It was the summit of White Horse Hill, about 5 miles north of Sierra Blanca Peak in southern New Mexico in the Lincoln National Forest.